I wanted to get him on for a while. One-man show. Unless you've been living in a cave in the desert, you've seen Denny perform or heard of him. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's nice to be out of the cave. Yeah.
And he is, he's been all over town, but he's now Friday and Saturday nights at the Sonoma Grill at the Embassy Suites on 111 in Palm Desert, where my sweetie Eric Frankson plays with his country band on Wednesdays.
And they are awesome.
Yeah, Cinch, fabulous. Get a plug in for that. But Denny's wonderful. And now you call it one man show. That's
Right.
your thing.
It's been my thing for 40 years.
So you started that way, right?
Always worked alone.
Okay.
Always worked alone. Guitars, keyboards, sang, and I've done it my whole life.
And so let's go back. Did you start singing? What was first, the guitar or singing as a kid, or what started?
As a kid, I picked up guitar at age 12,
Okay.
and my dad bought me one of those cheap little Target guitars, and I taught myself to play. And at age 13, started playing in church and singing in church, and did that until 18, and then went to college for 6 months and said, I want to perform.
Yeah.
I want to perform. I quit school. Dad said, right then. He says, all right, now it's time to pay rent then. And I says, all right. So I hit a hotel in Toledo, Ohio, which is where I'm from. I was born in Detroit, but raised in Toledo. And I got a job 5 nights a week, and for the last 43 years, I have worked 5 nights a week.
Wow.
I've been very blessed to be able to make a living doing what I do. My dad's still waiting for me to get a real job.
Yeah, when are you going to get a real job? Yeah.
But no, I've been very fortunate. God's blessed me with just great opportunities. But Toledo started it, and I started obviously in high school I sang in the high school madrigals and the choirs and in plays and things like that. I was a fat kid, but I loved. It was my way to get attention as a kid. You know?
Works. Now, so how would you describe? You do a little bit of everything musically, right?
My biggest influences, first of all, my father was a big fan of the American Songbook, and he had a big Victrola there with 45s and 78s and 33s. And for those who don't remember what those were, those are records.
Yeah, the big flat
before
discs.
a CD and a cassette. And I grew up on the Mills Brothers and Sinatra, Dean, Sammy, John Gary. What a voice! I mean, some people don't know who he was, but he was kind of a deeper Andy Williams style.
Okay. Did he have any hits?
Well, he did The Shadow of Your Song.
Okay. That's
he did
great.
a beautiful job on that one. But also Ed Ames and people like that. I grew up on that, but I grew up in the Beatle era.
So,
but my biggest influence was Elvis Presley.
Yeah.
I was a huge Elvis fan. And so I liked all kinds of music, very eclectic. And if I had my way, I'd sing love songs all night because I'm a romantic.
Yeah.
But
the crowd wants a mix.
But the crowd wants a mix. And so when I started professionally at age 18, it was the James Taylor, John Denver, Jim Croce era. And so I did that sitting on a stool playing nothing but guitar, and then would stand up to do Elvis. And everybody loved it. And I worked even then in leisure suits, you know, back then. And then the Bee Gees came out with Saturday Night Fever, and all of a sudden, oh my gosh, I have to figure out how to do that kind of music with just a guitar.
Did you?
And I had to find electronics, which was drum machines, because to get that kind of beat, you needed that. Totally changed my whole show. Yeah. And moved to California at that point. And
how long ago was that?
That was in '77.
Okay.
And
to LA, is that where you went?
Moved to LA. I lived in Culver City for 2.5 years and worked. Within 3 weeks, got a job at a hotel in Santa Monica and worked 1.5 years there, 5 nights a week, and then to Los Angeles in the Wilshire Hyatt. I worked for 6 months, and then started working for the Rubens Company, which is Grace Restaurants, and held up at gunpoint 3 times in 1 year.
Oh my gosh.
Twice in a bank, same bank, and then once as I got home from work at 2 in the morning.
Oh my.
And I says, you know, no job is worth dying for, so I moved to Orange County.
Uh-huh.
And I've been in Orange County, LA, and Vegas ever since, and made a career of it.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
I'm very fortunate, yeah.
You really are. Now, okay, so a couple things. As far as either guitar or voice, are you totally self-taught? Any music lessons
All
at all?
self-taught, just a good choir director in high school who taught me somewhat how to transpose and change keys so that I could sing. I don't read well, but I can read music. But generally speaking, all self-taught, and in a couple years later picked up the piano so I could add some variety to the act. And piano's harder to carry on your shoulder than a guitar.
Yes.
So then keyboards. But I was fortunate enough to make a living doing it.
And you always wanted to be a solo. Never wanted to expand out or be part of a bigger group.
Not really, because I was making a living doing it. But in Toledo, just before I came to California, I was attending a concert of the Letterman, and I was doing extremely well in Toledo, and someone informed them that I was in the audience, a room of 6,000 people, and they called me on stage and said, put a guitar around my neck and said, do a song and we'll just chime in. I went, oh my God, this is so cool. So I did the song "And I Love You So," which was Perry Como, big one, and they came in on the harmony, and it was just incredible. I got a standing O. It was in the paper the next day, and they asked me backstage afterwards, and Tony Butala was standing there, and he says, "What are you doing in Toledo, Ohio, kid? You're great." And I said, "I'm gonna be a star," you know. I wanted to be the next Neil Diamond. So he says, "Go pump gas in LA and try to get heard there. You can make $250,000 nobody ever heard of you if you want to make this your living." A month and a half later, I was in LA, cold turkey, didn't know anybody. Yeah. And I've been very fortunate. And 5 years later, I was working at the Tropicana in Las Vegas, and got a call from Tony Butala. He is the lead of the Letterman, and he says, "Send me a recent tape, would you?" And so I did. And he called me a week later and said, "Jim Pike wants to retire, he's ill, and would you like to be one of the Lettermen?"
Oh my gosh.
And I was married at that point with 2 children, and my ex did not want me to travel 250 days a year. So I said, "Thank you, but no." And I just continued on with my career.
Now, do you have a lot of regret about that? Or
I don't have any regret.
Okay.
I'll be honest with you, because even as a 16-year-old, I was once asked, "What do you want to do when you grow up?" And my first answer was to be a father, and then an entertainer. So I'm a family man, always have been, and so I have no regrets there. But I've been blessed. So
you sure have. Anybody else musical in your family?
my dad has a good voice. Nobody else has any musical ability. My mother said that my father stopped singing the day he got married. And I found that interesting, but when I picked up the guitar, my dad all of a sudden started singing again. And he put together a book of all old songs that he liked. And every Sunday night, the whole family would get together, and I'd play the guitar, and we'd have a little sing-along. And it was fun. It was, 5'2", that kind of thing. It was things that my dad grew up on. And so he was always very supportive musically with me.
And now, are your parents still with us?
Well, my father is. My mother passed away 10 years ago, and when she did, they were in Florida. And when she did, my wife Virginia and I decided to put our house up for rent in Orange County and move down there because Dad was not doing well. And I brought my show down there, and what it did was got him out of his chair. He didn't want to die anymore. And he started going out dancing, listening to my music, playing cards again and stuff. And he came back to life. So 3.5 years later, we came back to California, sold a house in Orange County, and we moved out here 3.5 years ago.
What made you come here to the desert?
Well, our first choice was Las Vegas because I had worked there before, and so we stopped at Vegas on our way back from Florida. Auditioned at the Palace Station, which is off the Strip in Vegas. They offered me a job, and just the audition, I found myself coughing again and forgotten what it was like to work in a smoke-filled room. California had switched 15 years earlier.
Yeah.
And I remember always having a sore throat every day.
Not worth it.
I don't need this.
Yep.
So we crossed Vegas off our list, and we had come out to the desert a few times, and I thought, there's seems to be a lot of work out there. So we came here, and within a month and a half, I met the owners of Chef George. They were thinking about adding an extended room for entertainment to their venue, and I went in, helped them design the room. A month and a half later, we opened the place, and that was my gig for the last 3 years, and it was wonderful.
All right, we're here with Denny Pezzin. We're going to take a short break and come back, and when we come back, he's going to, I think, do a song for us. You're listening to The Culture Corner on IHUB Radio.
Ordering supplements online? Yeah, we just
Yes, sir.